Back once again for another round in the 2024 AT&T Champ Car World Series season. We arrive once again to the Autodromo Magdalena, Mixhuca, the sports city in the heart of the capital of Mexico. 26 drivers going for a chance at a race win. It was a very chaotic race here at Mexico City, the second highest track in elevation on the calendar. High speeds, high stakes, high drama has always been a frequency here in Mexico City, and we're going to see something no different here tonight. Sakura Ishibashi will start this race from the front of the field. Was not the fastest in qualifying. Alicia Kovacevic, one of those, serving a 10-place grid penalty from qualifying. Kovacevic, fastest lap in qualifying, but will start in 11th. Giving Sakura Ishibashi pole position. Kovacevic a lap time of 1:28.438. Yesterday in qualifying, lap times that we've seen in warm-up so far have indicated that that will be even faster here. Cloud cover in the skies. The temperature is down 16 degrees following a rainstorm overnight. That'll change how this race plays out across 71 laps. Again, 26 cars present for this race. Sakura Ishibashi, Shifan Zhang at the front of the field. Kunika Noshida, another good starting position there in row 2, alongside the Atomic Autosport car of Natalia Velicevic, back on the top 5 running order in qualifying. Again, penalties will shuffle this running order up a little bit. We'll point them out as we get to it. BK Glover and Evangeline Porter, they start in the 3rd row, 5th and 6th on the grid for them. Then it's Artyom Kozlov and Thomas Rogers. So all 3 Verizon Team Impulse cars back into form here in Mexico City, 5th, 7th, and 8th on the grid. Row 5 is where things get interesting. David Wessel in the top 10 starts this race in 9th place, filling in for the injured Andrew Draco. For those that missed Melbourne 2 weeks ago, a huge crash ended the second race there in Albert Park. Andrew Draco injured, set to miss both here in Mexico and the next race at Texas Motor Speedway. So David Wessel back on track, and this time in Phantom Motorsports colors, the team they started with when he started his career back in 2020. Row 6, where you'll find Alicia Kovacevic, the fastest driver in practice and in qualifying. We'll start from 11th alongside Kaga Kobayashi, who got his first win at Melbourne 2 weeks ago. Esther Hofson and Juliette Takani, they sit in row number 7 ahead of Stephanie Porter-Kelly and Mia Valdez. Asher Crane alongside Bianca Lucero, they make up row 9, and the top 20 is earmarked by Wyatt Jones and Catherine Hart. Looking further down the order here, you got Simona Leroux and Elise Alexander row 11, Nicole Lechty and Matthias Michelin in row 12, and row 13, both drivers serving engine-related penalties. Marcus Petrovic down in the 25th position, and Anastasius von Sonen in 26th. Marcus Petrovic, it's the long-time woes for the Serbian, continuing to serve his 10-place grid drop for an engine failure during the opening round of the season in Adelaide. He only dropped 2 spots in his starting positions in Melbourne 2 weeks ago, so the other 8 places carried over. He only was able to serve a 2-place penalty here this afternoon in Mexico City, so the remaining 6 move on to Texas. It is the gift that keeps on giving for Petrovic. Von Sonen, on the other hand, had a 10-place grid penalty from Melbourne 2 weeks ago, served 8 of those 10 places here tonight in Mexico City, will serve the next 2 in Texas in 2 weeks' time. Alicia Kovacevic was able to serve hers in full, as was Astra Crane, both of them serving a 10-place grid penalty for engine failures at Melbourne as well. So 4 grid drops there. Petrovic and Von Sonen will see more of those woes at Texas, but Petrovic carrying the worst of the brunt. The 21, it's a tale of 2 halves for Ventura Racing. 21 car not doing so well in the standings. Kobayashi, on the other hand, obviously just won at Melbourne 2 weeks ago, and right now starting just outside the top 10 in 12th. We'll see how he goes as this race gets ready to get underway. We're moments away from the most famous words, so let's send you trackside for that world-famous command.
Drivers, start your engines!
World-famous command to start engines. the most famous words in all of motorsports, the 26 IndyCar World Championship contenders will go head-to-head here against second highest elevation for a circuit in the world calendar. Only Denver Motorsports Park sits higher. What does that mean for the cars? Less air, less drag behind the wheel. It's more of a strain on the engine components, but if you're looking for the same speeds you get normally, you don't have to try as hard to get there. This track has one of the longest straightaways for a road course on the calendar, and those top speeds are rarely matched on a road course anywhere else in the world. You're going to see that here this afternoon. The Ford Raptor pace truck rolling out of the way there for the official pace truck of the Champ Car World Series in the Champ Car Challenger Series, which right now is over in Night City. Fun weekend for racing here on ABN's Esports 1. It is the Champ Car World Series turn. Trouble for, that is Shufan Zhang in trouble. And as a result, here comes the field. So Shufan Zhang in immediate trouble, tried getting out of the way, couldn't do so, but comes to an immediate stop. But we're underway here in Mexico City and already trouble. That's Astor Hofson spun around. Multiple cars collected. Takani Kovalkiewicz. Car up and over is Kobayashi. And the scramble has turned things literally upside down to kick this race off. Several cars off in turn one. That is the 31 of Catherine Hart. That's Porter Kelly. That is Takani. That is Alexander. Several cars upside down. We stay green for the moment. Shufan Zhang and Kobayashi the only ones unable to get going, but Shufan Zhang unrelated to that, having an electrical issue to kick off this race. Ishibashi leads the way. Now the tides turn here in Mexico City. Lap one, everyone trying to make the most of the situation. This is not an easy track to pass at. So everyone with on their minds how the initial start is critical. Ishibashi leads lap number one. We stay green. It'll be Ishibashi, and then the PureTech laden 32 of Kuni Kinoshita, second place. So Ketnova Racing 1-2, Velisevich sitting in third. BK Glover, that Verizon number 6, sitting right now up in the fourth position ahead of Evangeline Porter. And then you see the 3, the Airbus number 3 of Artyom Kozlov, just outside the top 5 at the moment. There's Thomas Rogers as well. Cameron Jackson's made up spots, as has David Wessel, who's avoided the melee. There is Nicole Lechting, the 78. Esther Hofson, who was involved in the lap 1 melee, able to keep rolling here ahead of Mia Valdez. There is Matthias Michelin. There's Anastasius von Sonen, who was one of the faster drivers in practice and a warm-up. Then there's Crane, Petrovich, Kovalkiewicz, and Wyatt Jones. There's Catherine Hart and some of the other stragglers there. Takani, Alexander, Porter Kelly, and Simona Leroux. Here comes cars coming out of pit lane still. I believe this is Bianca Lucero. It is the 88. No official retirements yet in this race, but 2 cars in pit lane. Shufan Zhang for a technical issue, for a mechanical issue on that number 20 car for Dragon Motorsports, and Kaiki Kobayashi, who was upside down. They are now evaluating whether or not that 42 car can rejoin the race under any capacity. Traditionally, if a car rolls over and compromises that roll bar, they are officially out of the race. However, that roll bar has to be compromised. If that roll bar is tested and evaluated to be safe for reintroduction to this race, they'll let Kobayashi come back on track. He'll just be a lap down at minimum at the moment. You see some of these drivers that have made early pit stops for damage repairs. All eyes now on this teammate battle between Ishibashi and Kinoshita. Ishibashi entered this race 10th in points, but a full race and change back from the top of the board. Kinoshita also top 10 in points at the moment, a little bit further up the standings. They're seeing that in force here. Pretty closely tucked together through the Foro Sol baseball stadium. That was once the home of the Mexico City Diablos of the Mexican Baseball League. Now there's a new stadium just to the inside of turn 3. It's part of the expanding complex here in the Magdalena, Mixhuca sports city in the heart of Mexico City. For Sol, surrounded by the Peraltada on the outside, now a good concert hall when not being used for racing events. This track was reprofiled in 2016 after Champ Car had last been here. This track occupied a slot in the Formula One World Championship calendar for a few years. It is now the home of the Champ Car World Series. A lot of series do come to Mexico, but not racing at the full circuit. You have the all-electric Formula World Championship that comes here and races on a modified version of the road course. The NAMRA Mexico Tour, presented by Corona, races on the oval here in Mexico. 1 mile oval. It swings and cuts off right at the exit of pit lane. Almost had a Champ Car race as well. It's a 1 mile oval, flat. You've run that Peraltada. It's a instead of it being a banked corner that leads in, it's a banked corner that falls away, like reverse camber corner. Of course, the drivers only use a portion of that Peraltada for this racetrack. But it leads into one of the longest straightaways on the calendar. As Ishibashi continues to lead the way early on. And you're seeing here some good news. Shufan Zhang back out on track. Unfortunately, 3 laps down, but still running. As is this driver right here, Kage Kobayashi. The 42 car back out on the racetrack after rolling over in the turns 1, 2, and 3 complex. They checked the integrity of that roll hoop and determined that the roll bar was not compromised. And so he is back out on track. All 26 cars rolling here in Mexico. And it's Sakura Ishibashi leading the way over Kinoshita here. Third place is still Natalia Velicevic. Then you've got BK Glover and Evangeline Porter. This race currently being dominated by Cat Devil Racing, Atomic Autosport, and Verizon Team Impulse, the top 3 teams. All of them occupying the top 7 places. You have to look down to this battle here between Wessel and Cameron Jackson. This is Phantom Motors versus Dragon Motorsports. And Wessel trying to take it to the former F1 World Champion and Cameron Jackson. This is the battle for the 8th spot. And Jackson's going to get ahead and hold on to that 8th spot. But a good fight there. And then top 10 is the defending world champion, Nicole Lechty. Lechty's not had a fun start of the season. But right now she's currently holding off as Esther Hofson, who was involved in lap 1, and Mia Valdez sitting in 12th. Just behind Valdez is Matthias Michelin, who's holding up Anastasius von Sonen. Von Sonen is holding up Astra Crane. Astra Crane is in the middle between von Sonen and Marcus Petrovic, Alicia Kovalkiewicz, and then Wyatt Jones. Kovalevich collected in that lap 1 melee. You still see the damage on the 96 car, that side pod for the Tequila Patron car. Not helping out at all. Wyatt Jones, on the other hand, his weekend has been marred with question marks throughout the entire weekend. A tragedy in Melbourne that claimed the life of a spectator. Everyone pointing, looking at the 25 crew. Wyatt Jones' equipment being what flew into the grandstands in that accident that canceled race 2 weeks ago. Rightfully bothered by the incident in Melbourne. Hard to compartmentalize and get ready for a race here in Mexico City. Still so freshly removed from that incident. Jones right now sits in the 18th spot. Catherine Hart sitting in 19th, 20th is Julia Takani. 21st, Elise Alexander, then Steffi Porter-Kelly, 22nd. Ahead of Simona Leroux, who's on an island with just Kage Kobayashi, who's 3 laps down. And you see there is Bianca Lucero and Shufin Zhang. Zhang the other 3rd lap down car. Ishibashi trying to pull away at the front of the field here. This is a race that Ishibashi is very familiar with, starting up front in. Had a very similar start last season when we returned to Mexico for the first time. Did not have a chance to win. Did not finish that race after leading the most laps. Now with the Ford powertrains, Fords 1, 2, and 3 right now. With Toyota 4th, with BK Glover the fastest running Toyota at the moment. But all the top 7 really under an umbrella, and it kind of shows how competitive and how close it is between Ford, the newest manufacturer on the grid. Ford left in 2018, coming back with a twin-turbo V6 platform. Toyota running a twin-turbo inline 4 platform. Both of them running really close together right now. And you're seeing between Cat Dev Racing, Atomic Autosport, the factory team there for Ford, and Verizon Team Impulse, the factory team for Toyota. Everyone's in the mix right now. And don't forget about Honda and both the 19 of Cameron Jackson and the 13 of David Wessel. Wessel losing a little bit of touch here with Jackson. But this is his first race back on track in nearly a year. Right now doing an outstanding job. On lap 9 now. Ishibashi, Kinoshita, Filicevic. At the front of the field, we're looking at Wessel sitting in the 9th spot. Nicole Lecty staying in 10th. Highest the Swiss Miss, the Iron Maiden, has driven so far this season, as she has been struggling with Chevrolet's updated powertrain to kick off the season. Lecty very much looking forward to the first round of upgrades that most of the teams will be bringing next time out at Texas. Lecty very much on point, saying their championship starts in Fort Worth. They just had a lot of extra testing in these first 4 races of the season. Valdez really hounding the back of the 28 of Hofson. What makes it so difficult if you're trying to take down Chevrolet, Chevrolet has the strongest engine power-wise. Best top end belongs to the bow tie. As you got a Honda and a Ford behind, trying to keep up. This long straightaway gives Lecty a lot of space, and after turn 3 is another pretty long straightaway, which makes this very difficult for Hobson and Valdez to try to close in and try to get into the top 10 here. There's Michelin, another Chevrolet, holding off likewise another Honda, and then another Ford. And you're seeing some of the damage there for Kovalevich, which is hampering her just a little bit more. She has been dispatched by Wyatt Jones. And a decent amount of damage on the left side of that 96 car. You're seeing all 26 cars on track at the moment. As we're coming around to complete lap number 10 of 71 of the Telcel Grand Prix of Mexico City. Sakura Shibashi leads the way, 10th place in points entering this race. A much needed good result like a win would do a lot of good for Ishibashi's season ambitions to kick off the season. First 3 races in Australia have not been kind. They're hoping things can be a little bit better here in Mexico and beginning the first American leg of the season. A lot of really key races coming up here, a lot of critical races coming up on the calendar. Yeah, Texas in 2 weeks, the American Heart Association 600 coming up next. Then we visit Nashville, Homestead, Miami, and then the 111th Indianapolis 500 in May. There's a bunch of other races. We get to go to Monaco for the first time as part of the IndyCar World Championship. We head to the Grand Prix of Monte Carlo. That'll be exciting, seeing 26 of these cars on track on the Riviera. Ishibashi leads the way over Kinoshita and Milicevic still. And you can tell it's a holding station at the moment, now that we've gotten through the opening lap. But this is the group of cars that were not really natively affected by that opening stanza. Teammates battling here for Verizon Team Impulse. This is Kozlov and Thomas Rogers with Cameron Jackson in tow, trying to find a way around Artyom Kozlov. They get around the Russian ace. And they work together in that fact. So put Kozlov down to the 8th spot with David Wessel in tow. Obviously team order's not a thing for Verizon Team Impulse. But Glover is the highest ranked driver on that team. For those remembering the team's championship, it's just the best driver per team scoring points in the race. With Glover right now the leading car for Team Impulse. Gloves are off for Rogers and Kozlov. If Rogers gets to Glover, then you need use a little bit more diplomacy, because Rogers is the championship leader in this conversation. Of course, Rogers going to have a really good breakaway here with both Kobayashi and Shufeng Zheng, who were 2nd and 3rd in the championship entering this race, now sitting 25th and 26th. His biggest concern right now is with Kinoshita, who started this race 34 points behind. And right now, it's a decent hit, with Kinoshita being 2nd and Rogers right now being down in the 6th position. But not the end of the world. He's able to walk away with the championship lead going into Texas. But it is tight margins. Right now we're looking at Glover center of screen, under pressure from Evangeline Porter. Toyota looking behind at a Ford, looking ahead at even more Fords. Glover's in a sea of blue ovals. Seeing right now how close it is still in the top 5 Gonna be hard to breach if you are Thomas Rogers in this mix. And you're seeing exactly what's happened to Artyom Kozlov. Passed by David Wessel. Kozlov now down the 9th. And you have to wonder if those Firestone Firehawk tires have begun to give way on the 3. As Lecty holds on to 10th still. A lot of cars still single file. Passes have happened mostly into the braking zones. And we've seen that pretty much case in point all night long. Xifan Zheng has gotten around and pulled away from Bianca Lucero, who's the last car on the lead lap. Lap times at the moment. 1 minute 24.8, fastest lap set by Xifan Zheng. Lap times of the leaders sitting a little bit closer to 126, 127 in the timesheets here. But again, Xifan Zheng 3 laps down after that technical issue on the opening lap. Getting ready to start lap number 15 here in Mexico City. And you do have to wonder as to when pit stops will take place. Usually you go to a fuel number, but tires, if they're falling off, you may try to short stop and undercut here to try to make up the ground that you're losing. And for Artyom Kozlov, that couldn't be any more true of a statement as far as what's on the table right now for that 3 crew. Kozlov now trying to get back around. Wessel doing a fantastic job filling in for Andrew Draco, sitting in the top 10 at the moment as things stand. He's in the 8th spot. This is the battle for 8th on your screen. He's done an outstanding job so far in this race. Still early days, but an impressive showing this weekend for Wessel on short notice. Especially for Wessel, who's never raced in Mexico. Attempted to qualify here last season and failed to qualify when he was part of the Swift Autosport team. A little further back is Lecty still holding up everyone for 10th. Right now at the moment. Lecty holding on for that 10th spot for dear life for all it's worth at the moment. And you see the tail that is formed behind the 78. A lot of drivers hungry for a top 10 spot if they can get it, all the way down to Kovalevich, who is down in the 18th position. See, we're not too far away. Catherine Hart in the 31 and Juliet Takani in the 95. Not far away at all. Really good run throughout the field here. Again, frantic action on lap 1. It's settled down since, and it's settled down so far in the favor of Sakura Ishibashi, who is feeling deja vu, I think, at this point, knowing what came around last season. Reliability was a big factor in how last season went for Ishibashi. Ishibashi ended up having a really good charge later in the season, but last season started very rough. This season started not too awful much better, but already top 10 in points. Doing a fantastic job so far. Right now breaking away a little bit from Kinoshita, who is getting more and more mirrorful from Vulicevic. in that third spot at the moment, battling for second place. Again, Ishibashi leading, Kenoshita second. It is a Ford 1-2-3 with BK Glover sitting in fourth. 6 cars flying in the formation at the moment, 7 cars including Cameron Jackson. Jackson right now the highest rated Honda in the field, sitting in that 7th spot. Wessel in 8th, another Honda. Kozlov 9th, Lecty the highest Chevrolet in 10th. 4 manufacturers in the mix. And right now it is Ford's favor in the nation's capital of Mexico. Running out of Peraltaldo there. Down the front straightaway. How important is the race to this right now? You look at the drivers, looking at the bottom of your screen there, you look at Porter, you look at Glover, tied on points right now, but they were over a race behind from Rogers entering this race. Right now they're ahead of Rogers at the moment. So they've gained some points in that midway. Of course, Porter the closest to the points leader at the moment. Rogers sitting right now in that 6th spot, Porter in 5th. See how close everyone's running at the moment. Porter gained a little bit on Glover there, but not enough to make a serious challenge going into the Foro Sol Stadium. Very decorated, very ornamental, the interior of that Foro Sol Stadium. Alyssa is sitting in 3rd still, has lost touch with Kenoshita. Kenoshita now charging forward, trying to get to the race leader. Seeing if we can see the stepsisters duel at the front of the field. Will we or won't we? Ishibashi leads the way. Kenoshita sitting 2nd at the moment still. There's Thomas Rogers in 6th, Cameron Jackson in 7th. Looking throughout the top 10 there, you saw Wessel and Kozlov. There's Nicole Lecty, the Iron Maiden, the defending world champion 10th. And you see Mia Valdez has gotten around the 28 Esther Hofson for 11th. Valdez trying to break into the top 10 and get all 3 Cat Devil Racing cars up there. Her teammates 1st and 2nd. Valdez did not have a great qualifying. Once again, missing out on Q2 and not being close to getting to the Q3. Valdez trying to race her way forward. Again, up to 11th at the moment, but that's where she's sitting and sort of staying at the moment. And you see the breakaway that these 3 have put on Michelin. This was a conjoined line at one point. Now Letty has pulled the pace up a little bit, and Michelin's not been so easy to follow with that pace. Just comparing between the 2 Chevrolet cars here. Von Sonnen in that Honda, the 76, again had to serve a penalty, started this race dead last in 26th. Up to 14th, almost gained half the field is where Von Sonnen's in at the moment. So he's done a fantastic job in this race. All things considered, where he started this race, that 76 car showing the pace that he has had all weekend long. Top 3 in practice, top 3 in warm-up this morning. Just didn't have it in qualifying. And obviously the grid penalty did not help either. Here comes Michelin and Von Sonen battling side by side. Von Sonen with a lunge, and it's going to work out for both him and the 80 of Astra Crane. Both of them make it around. A struggling Michelin, and the caution's out. As these two battle it out, caution's out for the first time tonight. As Hobson takes 11th place back. And they'll come to a stop here. We're not sure what's happened there. There's Lucero. There's Shufan Zhang, who's gotten around Kage Kobayashi. We're not sure what's happened here to cause the first caution of the race here. This looks like all 26 cars are still rolling. Full grandstands here in Mexico City. Trying to figure out what has caused this caution of the race. We'll see if we have any update on this. Right now we're seeing all 26 cars still rolling. And right now behind the Ford F-150 Raptor. By the way, shout out to the Ford Raptor pace car. Really holding pace at the moment. Absolutely booking it right now. And down pit lane comes the field. So pace car out for the first time, looking to see all the pit boxes, all 26 of them still in motion here. So no retirements. Not seeing any reports of an engine mechanical issue or likewise. But either way, we have got this race now at a reset here, because now everyone's going to be bunched back together again. Cars are ready to come out of pit lane here. Let's watch this race off pit lane. Ishibashi can nose it up, stay 1-2. Very interesting there. Top 6 didn't really change. Top 7 really didn't change. Big change there. There's Lechty ahead of Valdez, ahead of Wessel, it looks like there. So Wessel did not have a great pit stop. Neither did Artyom Kozlov. A decent pit stop there for the 76 crew for the Curie Fakita Drive Force car of Anastasius Fontana, the Austrian. Having a bad pit stop there. Esther Hobson in the mix. Then you have Asher Crane. I believe that's where you find Mateus Michelin, who didn't have a good pit stop either, but it seemed like he needed work done on that 99 car anyway. There's some cars that needed that pit stop to get repairs done. Wyatt Jones, one of those cars that had to sort of deal with it. A lot of the cars in the back of the field here all needing some help. You see the 96 of Alicia Kovalkiewicz, one of the cars that really needed, I think, the most help of anybody of those that were still rolling. See if we can get a good look at the left side of that car, because the left side was what was really hurting. Yeah, they fixed that left side pod, which was a huge indication of where the damage was on that car. Car still on pit lane is Marcus Petrovic. So Petrovic within long-term issue here, from bad to worse. And he had been making his way upwards a little bit. Saw Bianca Lucero leave pit lane late. taking as much repair work as possible to get done. You see Lucero still running at pace speed. Yeah, we're sitting on a caution for the first time tonight. So 72 miles an hour for the pace truck. If I'm running right now, how about 150? Running about minimum, running a little bit slower speed here, just make sure they safely catch up to the pace car. Oh, issue here for Kobayashi. Kobayashi with a lot of issues here. Uh-oh. That's both Fonter racing cars with some significant trouble right now. Not a good look. Midfield parts are coming together. You see there's Kovacevic. Still trouble for Petrovic here. And now Kobayashi looking to possibly making another pit stop as well. And that is a trip down pit lane. Petrovic getting some more work done here. Looks like he might be rolling back on track here. The issue is that Petrovic will also now be 3 laps down as Kobayashi goes a 4th lap down. See something brand new here. Double file restart. Lap cars will have the right of way into turn 1. Lucero pinned behind the pace car, not technically a lap down, but this will make things interesting. Kobayashi's race officially over, and it's another engine failure for Ford. Looks like a valve failure for Kobayashi, which means he will now have a 10-place grid penalty going into Texas in 2 weeks. Talk about a kick in the heart. Nice highs for Kobayashi after winning in Montreal, winning in Melbourne, and now pretty low lows here in Mexico and going into Texas. First retirement of the race officially on lap 25. Sort of cycle C through here. Schiff and Jenks supposed to be joining the field, obviously in that queue. Not sure if she'll get there in time to do so. Pace car peels away to get out of the way for this restart. Petrovic 2 laps down, Schiffenjang 3 laps down, 25 cars still running in this race. How do they navigate turns 1, 2, and 3 on this restart? Green flag back in the air and away we go. A lot more manageable that time. Whoa, huge stack up here. Kozlov and Crane. And a huge stack up there. Trouble, that is Michelin side by side with Alexander, teammates there. Kozlov and Crane still rolling after they got jacked sky high. And here comes the frenzy. Trouble, cars in the wall. Yeah, a bunch of cars in the wall. And a car up on its side, that is Glover. Hobson stuck in front of Leroux. That's Petrovic also involved. Glover got himself off the wall somehow, some way, may have been with assistance from Von Sonen. Kenosha's ended up with the race lead over Ishibashi. And they stay green. What a nightmare restart for Verizon Team Impulse. All three of their cars involved in that. Kovalkiewicz in pit lane involved as well. There's Rogers now down in a very humbling 18th position. Several cars down pit lane. There's Hobson, Petrovic back down pit lane. You talk about avoiding a bullet. The incident in turn 1 between Crane and Kozlov allowed them to get through and avoid the melee that ended up happening in turns 4, 5, and 6. Remember, Schiffenjang's the fastest car on track and now only 2 laps down. So see if we get that restart. There's the restart here. What happened to Crane? Oh, Crane started that by getting to the back of Hobson and then got into Kozlov again. So that's how that all started. Here is how it starts in turns 4, 5, and 6. 3 wide. Ishibashi going for the lead of the group here. Oh, and Schiffenjang just contributes the entire mess there by sending it inside of Lucero and for Petrovic. You see, that was Dez that helped out Glover instead of being stuck high-sided. What it? So that was on Shuf and Jane. They're sitting at 3 wide in the turns 5. And obviously it paid off because now Shuf and Jane is in the clear. And it helped out Cameron Jackson, who now sits 3rd. And Marcus Petrovich joins the retirement queue. Both Vonter racing cars out here in Mexico City. Petrovich out because of suspension damage, not because of an engine failure. So Petrovich will not have any more the grid spots to serve on top of the 6 that he already has to serve at Texas next time out. But now Cameron Jackson has to deal with a very hungry David Wessel. What a wild race we've had so far in this event. Things should settle down again now that we're into the fray here, but it's Kenosha leading instead of Ishibashi. Becomes an extremely wide open race as far as the championship conversation. With all 3 of the Team Impulse cars involved in that incident on the restart. Thomas Rogers now down in 17th, Glover in 19th. Kozlov now the leading Team Impulse car in 13th place. Huge detriment there. You see Shufenjang off in the distance. Just trying to get away. Bianca Lucero 1 lap down, so there's not really any competition for Shufenjang in that mix. Russell staying consistent in 4th. Nicole Lighty, the defending world champion, sitting in 5th. For Catherine Hart and Wyatt Jones. Talk about a wake-up call for the 25 crew. Now in the top 10, ahead of Natalia Velicevic, Juliette Connie, and Stephanie Porter-Kelly. Wyatt Jones in the 7th spot at the moment. There's still a lot of race left to go here, but now Wyatt Jones is in the mix of it. Sitting in 31st place, or sitting on lap 31 in 7th place. Doing a really good job coming to 40 laps to go here in Mexico City. What a turn of events that this race has already given us here. Stephanie Porticelli now top 10. Alexandra and Michelin, all three of the striker cars, 10th, 11th, and 12th right now on track. Minus the Cat Double Racing Armada and Cameron Jackson, the entire field's kind of been flipped upside down a little bit. Now it's a matter of what, you know, people like Jones, Lechty, Hart can do with it. Because you see the separation now that's built between the top 4 cars and the rest of the field. And you can't necessarily say it's on Lechty here, because it's not like they're nose to nose, gearbox to gearbox here. It's not a giant traffic jam. I think everyone's still very much trying to figure out everything here. What can they do to capitalize on their opportunity, or to try to make up if you're someone like Rogers, who is now well and truly outside the zone? How do you make up for that? Meanwhile, a little bit further back, now you're seeing Vansley Porter's gotten around both Crane and Kozlov, trying to get back into the top 10. She didn't find too much contact in that restart melee, but the ensuing traffic did slow her down quite significantly. And threw her down, was down in 15th, now is down up to 13th place and trying to chase down Matthias Michelin to get up to 12th place. And obviously Michelin's still struggling compared to his teammates Alexander and Porticelli. And holding on to that 12th spot. Valdez has gotten around Thomas Rogers there. So Rogers now falling down. He is now down one more spot. Glover in 19th place. Stuck behind Bianca Lucero and ahead of Anastasius von Sonnen, whose race has been capsized. Likewise, Kovalkevich's race has been pretty well sundered. Kovalkevich in 21st place behind von Sonnen. Carly came down pit lane. Esther Hofson in 21st. Oh, sorry, in 22nd for Hofson, 23rd for Lucero, 24th. And last car running, Shufan Zhang. Kinoshta 34 points behind Rogers entering this race as the caution comes out once more. But the leaders already crossed the line, so they will have to wait. What happened here to draw the caution? And did it have to deal with Artyom Kozlov, who was in a group when crossing the line? Well and truly could have been for Artyom Kozlov. Let's see what happened. No, this is, I have a feeling this is going to be a little bit further up the racetrack. I have a feeling it might be this group here where it starts. This is Lechty and Hart leading the battle. Hart gets clear. Is there a little bit of help? Potentially. Pretty close battling here. Oh, this could be in the For Sol Stadium, which is maybe why the caution came out, if it's in For Sol. Ooh, Jones really late in the lockup there. Oh, that's exactly what happened. It's between Porticelli and Takani and Alexander. So that's why it was a blockage on the racetrack, rejoining Peraltalda. And because of the track blockage, they threw the caution that way. But because the leaders had already come around to start the next lap, they had to wait to actually just deploy the pace truck. So Alexander, Porter Kelly, all involved in that in Takani. And that's just defensive driving by Porter Kelly on Takani, rejoining the racetrack, because that is a very sharp 90-degree corner, and you need to have all the track width that you can get to really get that run onto the home straightaway. Porter Kelly went for that arc, and Takani had her nose in. Porter Kelly, obviously the greatest of all time in the World Championship era, and Takani a rookie. Porter Kelly tried throwing that weight around a little bit, and Takani didn't budge. So now we get another free pit stop for most of the field here to see if this field does mix it up a little bit more. Two cars a lap down, Lucero and Zhang, as the field does come down the pit lane this time. We now get to see the race on pit lane. First car to her box is Lefty, and you see some of the cars that were deeper in the mix. Pit lane here, it will be, oh, Ishibashi with a bad pit stop. Kinoshita Wessel. Oh my goodness, Wessel with another good pit stop. Catherine Hart in third. Fourth place is Lekti. Ishibashi top 5 over Velicevic. But bad pit stops, there's Cameron Jackson, who did get ahead of Porter Kelly on the pit exit there, just rejoining his place in line. What a change that is. Not a good pit stop. For Ishibashi or for Jackson, so now it is Kinoshita, Wessel, and a Hart. 1, 2, and 3. Phantom Motors now with a shout here in Mexico. Obviously, pit lane open this time now for those that were a lap down with Lucero and Shufan Zhang. Let's see if they take it. But wow, what a turn of events there. Don't think we were quite expecting that exchange there. Ishibashi led 25 laps to kick this race off. Kenosha's led 10 laps since, and holds on to the race lead here. But the staggering thing is that it's Wessel and Hart second, third, Lekti fourth, Ishibashi fifth, and Cameron Jackson almost out of the top 10 altogether. Jackson is in 10th, Porter Kelly's 11th. saw there Shifan Zhang and Bianca Lucero. They came down pit lane, giving them pretty free real estate to take their time to get everything taken care of here. Cars out of the race. Simona Leroux officially joining the Vantara Racing duo of Petrovic and Kobayashi. So Leroux's race is over. She'll be classified 24th. As hit under caution for the second time tonight. Kind of break down the way this field is setting to look here. It's Kenosha leading the way, David Wessel in second, filling in for the injured Andrew Draco. Catherine Hart is in third, Nicole Lechty is in fourth, Sakura Ishibashi top 5 over Natalia Vilicevic, Mateus Michelin, Wyatt Jones, Artyom Kozlov, and Cameron Jackson your top 10. Stephanie Porter-Kelly 11th, Asher Crane in 12th, Evangeline Porter 13th, Mia Valdez 14th, Thomas Rogers and BK Glover 15th and 16th, ahead of Alicia Kovalkiewicz, Esther Hofson, Elise Alexander, and Julia Takani your top 20. Anastasia Swanson in 21st, Bianca Lucero 22nd, Shifan Zhang will take over 23rd with the retirement of Simona Leroux. As the field stays behind the Ford F-150 Raptor safety truck for another lap here. We've crossed the halfway point here in Mexico. We'll stay under caution for at least 2 more laps here. Another car out of the race, Astrid Crane. Just joined the retirement center there after a suspension failure due to a tire issue. So Crane's race comes to an end early here, under caution. So make that 4 retirements, 22 still running here in Mexico. Now we get ready to go green at the end of this lap. We'll see the green flag on lap 39 of 71. Go back racing here. For those that need a reminder, it's Kenny Kenosha leading the way over David Wessel and Catherine Hart. Nicole Leckie, the defending world champion, sitting top 5 and 4th, ahead of pole sitter Sakura Ishibashi. The points leader entering this race, Thomas Rogers, down in 14th place. There's a lot of work to do for Rogers if he's trying to hold on to that championship lead. Into this race, 34 points ahead of Kenosha. Right now, as it's sitting, it'd be exactly a 35-point swing. Ford Raptor pace truck leads the field around for what will be our second restart of the night. Pace truck is in as they approach the restart zone. Almost showtime here once again in Mexico. Kenosha leads the way. Racing is back in green. How does the field handle turn 1? Leckie fans out. And Leckie being ambitious for a reason. Trouble. Leckie gets ahead of most of it, but still gets turned. A huge checkup in turn 3. Leckie is in it. So was Ishibashi. He was spun by Wyatt Jones. Valdez came to a stop. And that is Michelin that was upside down. Kinoshita leads in the clear over Wessel. And now over Audiam Kozlov, who's gotten around Evangeline Porter. And once again, the field flips on its head. You see there damage on the 25 car of Wyatt Jones. He's behind Anastasius von Sonnen. A lot of side pod damage there for the 25 after he made contact with Sakura Ishibashi. And in comes BK Glover. He's not alone. I think that's why it's Thomas Rogers it is. Thomas Rogers is in, as is Mia Valdez. And you're expecting, so will, the 95 of Julia Takani and the 60 of Stephanie Porter Kelly. She continues to lead the way and has a lot of space between herself and David Wessel. Some of the cars that came down pit lane, including that of Stephanie Porter Kelly. There's Nicole Lechty. Side by side battling up there. Kovalkiewicz, von Sonnen, Takani, and Jones in this fight. And now it is Kovalkiewicz trying to sprint her way forward around her teammate and around everyone else around, and does so. Wyatt Jones on the charge now as well, has gotten around von Sonnen. By the way, all the damaged race cars in this group, this is inside the top 10. This isn't like we're talking about 20th place. This is Wyatt Jones started the lap in 8th. Whoa, trouble. Cameron Jackson got turned by his teammate, Esther Hofson. Wow. Talk about physical. Got turned by Hofson there. Actually, it may have been Ishibashi. Again, Wyatt Jones right now sitting in the 9th spot. Dropped the spot to Velicevic, but gained on Ishibashi and Hofston. Obviously, Cameron Jackson now wrong way around. Side by side, Ishibashi gets around the 95 at Takani. Side by side, that is Lucero also trying to find a way around. And we'll get our way around. There's Catherine Hart far behind as well. Porter Kelly on a little bit of an island. Kenosha's doing a fantastic job leading this race ahead of David Wessel. David Wessel, to his credit, pretty comfy in that podium place. Kozlov under a little bit of pressure from Porter. Porter under pressure from Shufan Zhang, not really for position, but just for clean air. Then you have Alexander in the 5th spot over Kovalkiewicz and Von Sonnen. And a reminder, Von Sonnen started this race dead last in 26th. So they're going to try to catch up to Alexander in pretty quick order. It looks like they're doing just that. Spraying a little bit now that we've seen so many different cars at different stages of this Grand Prix. We're seeing a little bit more as to what that looks like. Son tailing Kovalkiewicz pretty hard here. Kovalkiewicz in 6th, Von Sonnen in 7th. They're trying to catch up to Alexander, who right now has the top 5. When there's Velicevic in the mix as well. Wyatt Jones not far behind either. And then you have Hofston and Ishibashi. Wyatt Jones in 9th place at the moment. And right now, front of the field looks pretty comfy in favor of Kenosha, Wessel, and Artyom Kozlov. Evangeline Porter sitting in 4th, also pretty lush and comfy up in that 4th spot. 5th place is where the danger begins. fifth heating up here as they close in a little bit more on Alexander. And for Alexander, just trying to hold on to this top 5, this would be a big time changer for that 11 crew, who has not had a good first 3 races in this race. So far sitting in that 5th spot, just trying to match the pace of the 96 and the 76 right now. But also don't ignore the 7 and the 25 here. 4 cars in this mix that if Alexander holds them up a decent amount here, could put them back together and in a fight again. Almost completely caught up here to Alexander, who now has to deal with Lucero up ahead, which will not be fun with Lucero being in the way. Whoa. What has happened here to Wyatt Jones? Looked like Wyatt Jones had a little bit of a stumble there, dealing with Hobson and Ishibashi now. Almost thought he got turned into the one of the retaining walls. It wasn't the case, but now he is deeply under threat. Jones under threat of losing the top 10 here. He's got to be careful. This is Michelin, who is well and truly off the pace here. Holding up Cameron Jackson there. There's Bianca Lucero, who's still 1 lap down. The first car lap down, actually. And then you get a chance to see where Nicole Letty and Catherine Hart ended up there. Here's Mia Valdez, 15th place. Thomas Rogers still 16th. BK Glover still 17th place. Stephanie Porter Kelly in the 20th spot, 1 lap down as well, after having to make a pit stop for damage repairs. Alternatively for Kenosha to go to the championship lead, she's got to hold on and finish this race here with coming to 19 laps to go. Leading over David Wessel and Artem Kozlov. The race that they've had has been insane, to say the least. Kozlov has had an insane race. They have been thrown up in the air, they've been turned, they've been in the wall, down as far as 21st, and now up to 3rd place. And not really under in any intense threat here as Shifan Zhang throws it really deep into the corner, approaching the Forest Soul Stadium. Kozlov's not really been under a lot of threat from Evangeline Porter behind for that last podium place. Likewise, I don't think Porter's been under any immediate duress because there's no immediate threat. At least Alexander, several seconds behind, is more concerned about the cars behind, with Von Sonen looking at a top 5 potentially, having gotten around Kovalkiewicz, and Kovalkiewicz just trying to stay in the top 10 after also having been turned around, stuck in the grass, and banged up all race. Keeping on in this battle for the 5th spot. Von Sonen trying to get into the top 5. They're starting this race in 26th and dead last. served 8 places of a 10-place grid penalty to kick everything off here today in Mexico. Has a 2-place grid penalty to make up in Texas next time out. Right now, Von Sonnen looking for what could be a phenomenal run of form here in Mexico. And this has been a strong team to kick off the season. They haven't quite had all the full results to show it, but this team has had a lot of pace. This is probably the fastest the team's been consistently so far of a season that they've ever been. Here comes Kovalevich on the attack once again. Looking for a fight. Von Sonnen defends successfully. Here comes Felicevich though, with the door open, looking into the inside of turn 1. Gotta be late, really late on the brakes. Both of them late on the brakes there. Almost outbroke each other. Out of 3. And now down the long second straightaway here. Keep an eye on the 25, Wyatt Jones. He's now in the mix again, once again with Esther Hofston in tow as well. And Felicevich gets really close to being clear. Still side by side, really close. And Kovalevich stays ahead. Somehow, someway, here comes Wyatt Jones. And Jones gets ahead of Felicevich. Jones, the opportunist, makes it work. Around the corner. Into Forest Sol. Here comes Ishibashi side by side with Hofston through the stadium. Oh, watch out. Close contact there between Ishibashi and Hofston. Still side by side down the front straightaway. Valdez in the mix as well. That's the 34. The Pepsi. No, that's Cameron Jackson in the mix. The 19 car as Ishibashi does get clear of Hofston. Now it's teammates battling the 28 and the 19. And Jackson gets around with very minimal issues there. But again, they're not in the top 10 right now. Seventh place right now is Kovalevich. 8th place Wyatt Jones. 9th place Felicevich. 10th place Ishibashi. 6th place Von Sonnen. 5th place Alexander. Alexander now feeling the pressure. Jones going to try to see if he can make up another spot here. Trying to work on Kovalevich. Alexander approaching. This is her teammate, I believe, up front, Porter Kelly. Does Porter Kelly make it easy for Alexander to get a buffer? Entering turn 4 here. No. Porter Kelly does not make it easy. Alexander's been dispatched. Von Sonnen got clear of it all for 5th. But here comes the mass melee here. Wyatt Jones in the mix as well. Jones got clear. But now they got to still find a way around Porter Kelly. Down the home straightaway. Vulisevich side by side with Kovalkiewicz behind Wyatt Jones. 3-turn 1. Vulisevich got clear pretty easily. And I think Kovalkiewicz is beginning to struggle here, just a smidge. Meanwhile, Von Sonnen's gotten top 5. That's where he wanted to be. Now he's got to defend it. Laps to go. Here in Mexico. Wyatt Jones now trying to take on 6th place, at least Alexander, as Von Sonnen has walked away with 5th. Uncontested. Look at the struggling going up some of these drivers that were once in the top 10, and pretty comfortably so. Four retirements in this race: Crane, Leroux, Petrovic, and Kobayashi. There's Catherine Hart, 31 car, ahead of the defending champion, Nicole Lechty. Let me see the tail end of this group here. Side by side, it's Jackson and Ishibashi. And Ishibashi stays clear of the 19 for now. That is 4 to the 10th spot, I do believe. So this should move Ishibashi into the top 10. Indeed it does. Kovalkiewicz in 9th, Vulisevich in 8th. Wyatt Jones 7th, 6th place Alexander. With 11 laps to go here in Mexico. Jones trying to get into the top 6 here. Would be a good rebound for him if he can make it happen. Alexander leading this train. Vulisevich trying to get around Wyatt Jones. Down the home straightaway here. This is Ford on Ford. The 25 and the 7. Jones had the exit advantage out of Peraltalda. But here comes Vulisevich on the send. Broke a little bit later in the turn 1, through turn 3 now. Jones defends, no problem. Jones dealing with Vulisevich behind has allowed Alexander a little bit more breathing space. Again, as the laps tick away, Wyatt Jones is trying to hold on to what could be one of his best results of the season so far. In a weekend where he's need all the concentration that he can muster. To rebound after the disaster in Melbourne. So far he's done just that. Figured the Ludwig Motorsports crew would have a lot more pace this season. Back with Ford, working again with Atomic Autosport, but now with the season under their belts. Wanted to see a little bit more from the 25 crew, and it's been up and down. But this is one of the most trying weekends that Wyatt Jones has had in quite some time. Right now, it's been successful. Just hoping it stays that way. Coming to 6 laps to go here. This is the closest battle on track at the front of the field. This is for 6th place. Kenoshta, Wessel, and Kozlov currently are top 3. Porter and Von Sonen top 5. This is 6th on down. Alexander, Jones, Jackson now back in the top 10 ahead of Vulisevich, ahead of Alicia Kovalkiewicz, who sits in the 10th spot. So Cameron Jackson kind of trying to put on a final charge to try to make some ground up here. Side by side. Further down here, once again, Velicevic trying to take back that position. Battling for 8th place here. Through 4 of Sol. Velicevic sends it in. Clears Jackson. What an aggressive lunge there by Velicevic to try to make that happen, and it worked. But now Jackson's got the chance to attack back here into turn 1. Side by side is Kovalkiewicz and Ishibashi battling for that 10th spot. As Velicevic takes 8th place back away from Jackson, Kovalkiewicz defends 10th from Ishibashi. Coming to 5 laps to go. 5 laps to go, ticking over now. Again, this battle near the front of the field, just outside the top 5, continuing to do wonders and entertain. Alexander holding on to 6th spot. Wyatt Jones hasn't been able to really find an immediate way around. And now under threat from Velicevic. Rolling through 5, 6. And the complex now headed down the south side of the racetrack. About what a good race this would be for Alexander. Obviously 7th place in points. Be a really big boost. Just showing the consistency of that team, given what has been generally characterized as a large weakness for the Chevrolet camp. Alexander's found a way to defy that so far. As the laps continue to wind down closer and closer and closer. Two cautions in this race, and it's been drama filled throughout. We're in the final stretch. And watching this battle, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, all in the picture. Kovalkiewicz 10th. Hobson 11th. Here comes Cameron Jackson around Velicevic for the 8th spot. Swooped in and took it there. Really good move for Cameron Jackson. Up to 8th. Coming around the 2 laps to go. Incredible fight in this race. Jackson up to 8th, Velicevic 9th, 10th, Kovalkiewicz. With Just a couple of laps to go. That battle between Velicevic and Jackson continues to buy Wyatt Jones some time. Jackson right there on the gearbox of 25. Jones struggling to find a way around Alexander. Cameron Jackson trying to put in a late race charge, if he can. You can see the gaps that the cars in the front have really put on here. 2 laps to go for the race leader. David Wessel in second. Artem Kozlov third. Vangeline Porter there in fourth. Anastasius Wanson in top 5. And then it really spaces out for 6th. Two laps to go. Encountering the lap car of Matthias Michelin into turn 1. Alexander sends it into turn 1, gets clear. That is for an easy shot to hold on to 6th place with 2 laps to go. Michelin in the way, slowed up Wyatt Jones enough. Here comes Cameron Jackson for 7th place. And Wyatt Jones will not be happy. But here comes Michelin battling back once more, buying Alexander some more time. It was less about hurting Wyatt Jones and more about just helping Alexander. And that's exactly what happened there. And it worked like a charm. White flag in the air, 1 lap to go. Jackson now has a clear space to try to battle for that 6th spot. See the white flag waving. It's almost lights out and game over. He's got one more really good opportunity to try to make something happen for that 6th spot. Alexander now under the most pressure she's been under all race. And Jackson can't really afford to mess this up. Has to get it right, because Wyatt Jones is still in the mix as well. While that battle takes place on the other side of the racetrack, rounding for home, it will be CUNY Kenoshita taking over the championship lead. She wins in Mexico City. Top step of the podium belongs to her. David Wessel takes a 2nd place. And Artem Kozlov does a fantastic job to finish this race in 3rd, ahead of Evangeline Porter and Anastasius von Sonnen in 5th. Battle for 6th, Alexander and Cameron Jackson. Wyatt Jones in the mix as well. But it will be Alexander holding on to the 6th place spot around Peraltada for the last time. Alexander, Jackson, Jones, Kovalkiewicz, and Velicevic round out your top 10. Sakura Ishibashi, the pole sitter, in 11th. Esther Hobson in 12th. Catherine Hart, 13th. Nicole Lecty will be in 14th place as she comes out of the final corner. 15th, Mia Valdez. Thomas Rogers in 16th will now be 2nd place in the World Championship standings. DK Glover, after a very good start of the race, how dismal it ended. 17th for him. Bianca Lucero 1 lap down. In the 18th position, Shufan Jane 19th ahead of Julia Tacani, Stephanie Porter-Kelly, Mateus Michelin, the last car running at the end of this race, 4 laps down. Asher Crane, Simona Leroux, Marcus Petrovic, and Kaiga Kobayashi finish out this race early. They were the retirements of the race. 4 retirements, everyone else still running. As you hear the sights and the sounds. As you see the field return around the Foro Sol Stadium on their way to pit lane, it is Kini Kinoshita, race win and championship lead in hand. David Wessel, his return to Phantom Motors is a successful one. 2nd place on the road. Artyom Kozlov, 3rd place. A good recovery drive for the Russian ace. For them, a much needed result after what was a very brutal start of the season so far. Some drivers getting it on the right track. Keep an eye on that of Porter. Von Sonnen top 5, Alexander 6th, Cameron Jackson top 7, Wyatt Jones from almost the 20th spot all the way up to the top 10, finishing this race in 8th. Kovalkiewicz in 9th. Natalia Velisevich down in 10th. Ishibashi obviously once again missing out here on a win in Mexico. Lots of ups and downs. Penalty, a 10th place grid drop for Kaiga Kobayashi going on to Texas next round. But that'll do it from us here in Mexico. Next race for the World Series, we head to Texas Motor Speedway for the American Heart Association 600. We hope you join us for that round. The road to the Indianapolis 500 is underway. Texas, Nashville, Homestead, and then the 111th running of the Indy 500. Not too far away. It'll be Indy before you know it. On behalf of everyone here for ABN Studios, for ABN Sports, everyone here at ABN Sports 1, and the AT&T Champ Car World Series, we appreciate you spending your Sunday with us here. Join us again next time out of Texas. Until then, so long, see you later, and have fun this week. Take care.